Hello everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Listen guys, today is a bit, well, it's not a bit, it is an emergency broadcast, okay? It does look like the summer of carnage has started. I'm talking about what's happening in Ballymena in Northern Ireland. It is absolutely insane. What I want to focus on today is what's happening over there. We're going to be reading some things that I've been sent personally. I've asked the authors if I could read it. They said yes, but don't share my name. Now, again, guys, listen, a lot of this stuff I'm sharing, it's going to be open source social media. When it's open source social media, I'm going to let you guys know that it's open source social media, whether that is something that somebody sent me personally. For the purpose of these videos, I'm going to have to say that I can't confirm their credibility, guys, okay? I am going to put out that I cannot confirm their credibility. But also a trope of what I want to keep going through on this live stream, ladies and gentlemen, is what I keep saying: hibernate, relocate, evacuate. That is the algorithm that you guys need to start rehearsing and understanding. Get a pen and paper, ladies and gentlemen, because I am going to be going through that quite a lot today. Hibernate, relocate, evacuate. What we've seen from Ballymena in Northern Ireland, and again, guys, listen, I put that Ballymena was not in the United Kingdom. Ballymena is, of course, in the United Kingdom. Northern Ireland is part of the United Kingdom. I was talking about mainland United Kingdom. And for the purposes of the next till 2030, I think Ireland and Northern Ireland really are going to be standing together, guys, for their common goals and their common culture, I think. Anyway, we will continue, ladies and gentlemen. We will continue. I am streaming on 2 platforms today, guys. I'm on TikTok. I'm streaming on YouTube as well. This video will be uploaded onto YouTube, guys. The crux of this video is: looks like the summer of carnage has started. Looks like it's gone global, and we're going to be talking about what's been happening in Ballymena. Now, let me just click a few. Let me click a few buttons, and then we will get into this. Right, hang on. Where's the buttons going? Where's the buttons? Right? Has that happened? I don't even know. Do you know what? Maybe I'm going to click buttons. Maybe I'm not. No, I am. Yeah, there we are. Click and click. Right. Okay. I think we're good. Right. Okay. So let me just get some of you guys' comments. Big Dunks joined, Bernadette, Natalie, Dazzle22, Natalie87. Is that 2 now? We've got, oh, Natalie87 came in there. Oh, sorry, she's liked. Daniel Payne is saying, hi, Raven. Hi, back to you, Daniel Payne. Lisu, morning, guys. Google is joined. Lizard Payne is joining. Lizard Payne 9. Google is saying, Mighty Seanburn. Is that some sort of a Nordic Viking name? Greta Thunberg apparently put on a plane to France. Yvette Cooper on Resignation Watch after spending rounds with resolutions. Guys, look, you know what? When we're talking about this spending, I am going to come on to the crux of this video, which is going to be Ballymena. It's going to be Ireland. It's going to be the summer of carnage. It's going to be hibernate, relocate, evacuate. And I'm going to say that, ladies and gentlemen, until I'm blue in the face, because I want as many people to understand what I'm talking about. Hibernate, relocate, evacuate. You know how they told us whenever it was, that the fact about 9 months ago that they couldn't afford the winter fuel payment? Where's that money come from? They can afford it now. So where has that money come from? If you tell someone we can't afford it, and then you give it them, then why tell them you couldn't afford it in the first place? Because you clearly can. And this is what I mean, guys. You know, there's no trust in the government right now. There is absolutely no trust in the government. Right, attack on school in Austria. Yeah, at least one descended into a beam of light, Danny boy. Yeah, Sarah literally just sent me that 2 minutes ago. I'll pin that and I'll come on to that. Russia launches drone attack on Kiev. 4 pauses saying good morning, everyone. Hi, Sean says, who says a hi, Sean? Hi, anyone, says Linda Lou. Pentagon spreads Area 51 UFO rumors to cover up secret weapons project. Yeah, so listen, guys, in my professional career, when I left the military, leaving the military, when you leave the military, it opens a lot of doors for you, and you can walk through those doors or you can leave them shut. I walked through a lot of those doors. And one of the people I met at an event, that's all I'm going to say, guys. I met a person at an event And I was talking about Area 51 for some reason, and he said, yes, I know a person who was there when that craft got recovered. And I said, what? He said, no, seriously. I know a guy who actually saw it with his own eyes. So I'm telling you guys, and it's second, and I guess I'm telling it you third hand, and I was getting it second hand. But this is what I said to the guy about Area 51. I said, what? So was it like a legit flying saucer? He said, yes, it was a legit flying saucer. It crashed. He didn't recover it, but he went and saw it in the hangar afterwards. So when somebody tells you something like this, you're like, I mean, he'd had a few, I'm not going to lie, guys, he'd had a few vodkas, we all had, but, you know, I don't know where I go with this. But guys, listen, the crux of this video is what's happening in Ireland, what's happening in Northern Ireland, sorry. Hang on, somebody just said something about rice rationing there. Sharon Owen saying rice rationing in Japan. Jodie Lee saying good morning. Sorry, good morning. There's so much going on. No, Sharon, there is so much going on in the world right now. Listen, and I'm having to focus on what's happening in Northern Ireland, ladies and gentlemen. I'm focusing what's happening right now in Northern Ireland, all right? Northern Ireland, Ballymena, it's gone absolutely biscuits. Yeah, Jodie Lee is saying, Ballymena last night, I think Coleraine will be next. Same thing happened with schoolgirls. Right, I am going to read you something in a minute, ladies and gentlemen. Now, when I read this, this is unconfirmed. This is what somebody sent to me, all right? This is what somebody has sent to me. In fact, let me get this up now. Let me read this. So I've been getting sent a lot of things through as reports from the ground in Ballymena telling me what's actually happening, all right? So I'm just going to read you this. Let me get onto this, guys. Give me a second. I'm going to read you this. Now, when I read this, I've got to caveat this. This is a non-confirmed report. Now, I'm not doubting its credibility. I'm saying that for the purposes of this video, I have to say that. Right, okay, so I'm going to miss out a few keywords on this, ladies and gentlemen, right? Okay, so, okay, so, Ballymena incident, all right? I'm going to miss out a few keywords, but you're going to know what they are. I'm not going to leave anything over. Ballymena incident. There were not teens, grown, unvetted men pretending to be underage, being classed as youths on the news. Police moving busloads to Coleraine. Now, I've been to sorry guys. Moving them from hotels. They are in trying to put them all in one place. Locals are terrified to let their children outside alone. Ballyclare used to be one. I'm not going to repeat that, guys. Everything used to be local. Now everything is changing very fast within 6 months. Belfast, Ballymena, Dungannon, Cookstown are all full of migrants. It's getting dangerous. Now that's what somebody sent me, guys. That is what somebody sent me. It's non-confirmed. I'm not doubting it, but I just have to say it's non-confirmed, guys. All right. So you can, like, all those places there, guys. I've spent a lot of time in all those places. Belfast, Ballymena, Dungannon, Cookstown. Crossmaglen, Newton, Hamilton, Besbrook. I've spent a lot of time in all those places in my military career, so I do know those areas. So that's what we're getting from the ground in Ballymena. Now, guys, listen, I'm gonna focus something now, and I'm gonna put something out there that I don't think I can guarantee nobody's talking about. When these things happen, it's very unpredictable where they're going to happen. So if an incident involving men and small girls, we don't know where that's going to happen. We don't know where that's going to be the flashpoint, all right? So this could happen anywhere. It could happen close to me. It could happen close to you. And a lot of people in and around these areas now are scared to leave their houses. And by scared to leave their houses, I don't mean the bad guys or the perpetrators, although they are. What I mean is the local population now. Because once you see a spark, you see a counter spark. Once you see a protest, you see a counter protest. So, remember these words, guys. Please write them down if you can, or go and get a pen now, all right? Hibernate, relocate, evacuate. Just remember those three things. And this is something I used to teach when I was when I used to when I used to work overseas, and I would get people coming in and they were operating in hostile environments. And listen, guys, I've been saying this for quite a while. If there's any, I know what I'm saying is right, but if there's any subject matter experts listening, then please, you want to contribute, please, throw it up in the chat and we'll talk about it. Hibernate, relocate, evacuate. I am going to keep talking about that, ladies and gentlemen, all through this live, because it's very important that as many people as possible understand this process, all right? Hibernate. If things are going bad and you want to stay peaceful, hibernate. Go back to your house, shut the doors, shut the windows, shut the curtains. Do not leave your house. To that end, you're going to need at least food, water, and fuel to stay in there. Go upstairs. Don't let yourselves be seen. Most of these incidents, unless you're targeted yourselves, most of these incidents do not target random houses. Unless you're in the United States, but I'm talking about Europe now, guys. I am going to focus on Europe. So hibernate, that would be your first port of call in each and every scenario. And then if things keep getting bad, or they start going from bad to worse, or it doesn't look like these things are going to go down, you need to have a relocation area. Maybe it's your mums, your dads, your nans, your uncles, your sisters, a house that you and your family can all relocate to. Now, it might be a house out in the countryside. I know, our house is a relocate house. So I've told all our family, listen, if things get bad, everybody comes to our house, and, we just hold down here. So our house is the relocate house. Have yourself a relocate house. You're going to have to choose this between your family, and you're going to have to talk to your family about this, ladies and gentlemen. It's all well and good waiting to the last minute and listening to, Janet and John, who don't think any of these things are going to happen. Tell me, those people in Ballymena, did they think that their streets were going to be on fire this morning? I would suspect not, ladies and gentlemen. Those people in Rotherham, different parts of the United Kingdom, last summer, did they think that their houses, their streets, their cars, also, and potentially hotels were going to be set on fire? I would suspect not, ladies and gentlemen. I would suspect not. So when these things happen, nobody knows where they're going to happen, me least of all. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm monologuing. But they are going to happen. The inevitability is here, guys. We're seeing this now. We're seeing this spark. So relocate and then evacuate. Evacuate would normally be get yourself out of the country. So I would say, if I was teaching NGOs, for example, I don't know, operating in east of Ukraine, I would say, right, if X, Y, and Z happens, you guys need to hibernate. If X happens, you guys need to hibernate. If Y happens, you guys need to relocate. If Z happens, you guys are on the first plane out of here, the first train out of here. Get a road move and get yourselves across that border. The evacuate call would probably not work in the United Kingdom, although it may, because there's going to be a lot of different scenarios, guys. But listen, I am going to go through that so many times today, guys, okay? Because I want as many people as possible to understand hibernate, relocate, evacuate. And of course, if there's any subject matter experts on here, who want to call me out, please call me out. Equally, if there's any subject matter experts listening and you guys want to contribute, please throw your contributions in here, guys. Last night, I didn't do any videos last night. I was sat here. I was on a group call. I was on a group call, guys, and I'm not going to lie. One of my mates got a bottle of vodka out in Ukraine, so I got a few beers out, and it got a bit messy. But one of the things we were talking about, and one of the things we all understood is, people see this as the fall of the fall of the West. Another scenario could be the rebirthing of Western culture. It really could, guys, because what I'm seeing now is people coming together. I'm seeing a sense of community, people coming together for the sense of the greater good, and people uniting. And I am seeing that, not least of all. In fact, I'm not going to say where, ladies and gentlemen, but you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Right, let me get on to some of the comments, guys. Listen, we are double streaming today. We're on we're on TikTok, and we are on YouTube as well. Googly is saying, Rolls-Royce to build Britain's first mini nuclear reactors. Yeah, so they're building those nuclear reactors. They're basically putting the nuclear reactors that they use in submarines. They're capitalizing that. I think they're building them in Sheffield, of all places. Ukrainian drones halt flights in Moscow and St. Petersburg. Miliband to boost Britain's nuclear power as blackout fears rise. Look, ladies and gentlemen, we're all talking, like, doesn't he want to go green? Doesn't Miliband want to go green? Look, ladies and gentlemen, when we're talking about the future of energy, there's two futures. They're both the same. One, for vehicles, it's hydrogen. For electricity, it's nuclear. That is it. Nothing else, ladies and gentlemen. Anything else is condiments. It doesn't make sense. It's a fugazi. It's fake news. Nuclear and hydrogen. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. Nuclear and hydrogen. Where are we? Right, Sharon and Google Hotel thinks must be doing overtime. Trump sends 2,000 National Guards and 700 Marines to LA on the fourth day of unrest. Yeah, look, guys, the world is going bonkers. When I started talking about the summer of carnage, I was isolating that to the United Kingdom, but it does look like the summer of carnage has gone global. Remember, hibernate, relocate, evacuate. Remember those three things, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be talking about that later. Go and get a pen and write these things down. Debbie 1973 is saying good morning. Jody Lee, that's the truth. I live in Belfast. We are sitting on a ticking bomb. Yeah, look, guys, the whole West in general. But Jody Lee, we are sitting on that, but I also think this could be the rebirth of the of Western culture. Good morning, Sean. Wild night here in Northern Ireland. Yes, it was. Look, ladies and gentlemen, when I'm talking about Northern Ireland, when we're talking about things in Northern Ireland, most of those places and more, in fact, all of those places I've just mentioned, I've been to, you know, and I do understand the situation on the ground. Now, in fact, let me get down these comments first, then we'll talk. Danny Boy is saying Sky News done a podcast on simulation attack on the UK. Yeah, I don't see the attack from I don't see an attack coming from outside. I see an attack coming from the inside of the United Kingdom. Sharon Owen is saying we need to learn from Ballymena about bugging in. Make sure we have everything. Yes, Sharon Owen, that is very, very true. Look, and I do want this to be the crux of this video, ladies and gentlemen, of this live stream actually. Hibernate, relocate, evacuate, guys. Please, if you've got any questions on that, throw them forwards, all right? Because that is what is gonna that is what's gonna stop most people from getting caught out in the I don't know whatever we call it. What do we call it? Troubles, I guess. I guess we're going to have Western troubles. And remember, listen, ladies and gentlemen, remember, when we're talking about these troubles in Northern Ireland, these troubles all over the world, remember, near-peer adversaries are going to be fanning the flames both sides here. You know, there's going to be bot farms. There will be bot farms. Right, I am going to come onto this. Google it. I am going to come onto this. I am going to come onto this. Google it. I am going to come onto this because this is breaking. Let me finish this monologue and I'll come on to what's happening in Austria. I will come on to what's happening in Austria in a minute, guys. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, when these things happen, you have near-peer adversaries fanning the flames on both sides. So in bot farms, whatever country you guys are thinking of, in these bot farms, there will be people fanning the flames of division on both sides. Now, I'm not saying these divisional lines are not already there, but they are certainly being emphasized. Right, let me come on to what's happening in Austria, guys. Let me come on to what's been happening in Austria. Right, breaking news. I'm going off the BBC now, ladies and gentlemen. Live updates from Austria, guys. Live updates from Austria. Live updates from Austria. Police confirm several reported injured in Austria. School, can I say it, unaliving, local media say. Police confirm operation underway after gunshots heard. Austrian police say an operation is ongoing. A helicopter has been deployed in the, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that word, guys. They say gunshots were heard at the, right, I'm going to try and pronounce it. Dierschützengasse Secondary School. Hang on, there's, Deershoots and Gaza Secondary School, guys. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I really do apologize. Suspected gunman believed to have transcended himself to a beam of light. Austria's public broadcaster ORF says a major police operation has been underway for almost an hour after the school incident. Citing police, the broadcaster says the incident happened at the high school, that the gunshots were heard in the building. Police spokesman Fritz Gunding tells the outlet that there may be people transcended to a beam of light, also reporting the suspect is believed to have transcended himself to a beam of light. Several people injured in a school incident involving the things that go bang and stuff comes out the end. Police say an operation is underway after gunshots were reported. That is all we know at the moment, guys. That is all we know at the moment. Austrian police have said it took place at a federal upper secondary school in Deershoots and Gaza. I may be destroying that pronunciation, guys. Deershoots and Gaza, in northwest of the city of Graz, not far from the main central train station. Second largest city in Austria, 200 kilometers from the capital, Vienna. That's all we know at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. That is literally all we've got, and that is from 17 minutes past. So that's like 2 minutes old. That's 2 minutes old. Right, let me come on to these comments. Let me jump on and get these comments. Right, let me take this jumper off because it's boiling in here. Give me a second, guys. I'm just going to nip off screen and take my jumper off. Right, I've also run out of coffee as well. I've run out of coffee, so I'm doing this. I'm doing this. Hang on. Right, Google is saying 5 people, according to Google, have been transcended into beams of light after the incident in Austria. But is that out on a mainstream news? Is that out on a mainstream media outlet? Google, is that out on a mainstream media outlet? Because I can't talk about it unless it is. Marie, is it true there is rioting at the same time now in Spain and France? Oh, hang on, there's been another update. Hang on, guys, there's another live update. Right, right, guys, I've got it. Okay, several fatalities confirmed at school, Interior Minister. So it's confirmed, ladies and gentlemen, there have been several fatalities now at this. Austria's Interior Minister says several people have transcended to beams of light at the high school, according to the public broadcaster ORF. We already know that pupils and teachers are among those, and the perpetrator is believed to have transcended themselves, I don't know who it is, in a school toilet, according to the tabloid Kronen Zeitung. 8 people, wow, 8 people, guys, have been reported to have transcended to a beam of light in Austria. That's 8 people, guys, okay, in an incident in an Austrian school. It's just going crackers, isn't it, guys? The world is going crackers now. I've never lived through a time of such absolute insanity, guys. I've never lived through a time of absolute insanity as we are right now. It's absolutely like, I can't believe the stuff I talk about. Like every morning well, not every morning, but most mornings when I come on here and I do a live stream, John Giles over on YouTube is just saying FFS, yeah, and I think there we're talking about, well, I know for a fact he's talking about the incident in Germany. Like I get on these live streams in the morning, guys, and I think, right, okay, what's the breaking news? What's happening? What do people need to know? And you guys, if you've got a pen, please write this down. Hibernate, relocate, evacuate. And I get on these live streams and I think I know what to talk about, but it seems like every morning there's more calamity after more calamity. It does genuinely seem, ladies and gentlemen, like we're going through something. Now, I don't know what it is. Last night we was talking, I was on the group chat. We was on a group video call and we was talking about the rebirthing of Western culture. Right, let me get these comments. Right, Linda Lou, in fact, hang on. Linda Lou is saying there's a protest in Ireland on the 14th of June, Saturday in Limerick. Maybe that will be Ireland's flashpoint. Honestly, I think Ireland have hit their flashpoint. I think I think it's my speculation, guys. It's my belief that Ireland's Northern Ireland. Sorry, guys. I do apologize. Northern Ireland, I think, have hit their flashpoint. But yeah, maybe in Southern Ireland. So again, it's Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland. I think that it could be their flashpoint. Remember, it only needs a little spark. You know, when you've got all this hot tinder, and you're pouring petrol on it, and then you're throwing more dry wood on it, and then petrol, and then like all sorts of flammable material. It literally takes a spark. All it takes is a tiny spark, ladies and gentlemen. And if you understand what's happening, if you understand the, let's just contextualize this, guys, right? In the United Kingdom, we are not allowed to say certain things on social media. And that's the reality now. We're not allowed. We're not allowed to say certain things on social media. So conceptualize this, guys, right? For maybe, I don't know. When an incident happens and people take social media to vent their distress, they're not allowed to do that now. So what are they going to do? They're still going to have that feeling built up inside them, and they need that release. So what are they going to do? Rather than write something on the internet, they're going to go out. They're going to go out and join the protest, the march, whatever it is. And the more people start on these marches, remember the scenario I give: for every 100, you might get one person who goes crackers, and I break it down. We always say crackers, biscuits, bananas, and Monster Munch or something. But the more people, the more you compress people, the more critical event is going to happen, guys. And the scenario I gave this scenario last year, not the scenario, analogy last year. By clamping down on social media posts and giving people hefty jail sentences for social media posts. I mean, guys, look, there was a guy the other day, and he caused a multi-car pileup on a motorway. He caused millions of pounds worth of damage. I think he was driving a BMW M5, I think, and there was a car chase on the motorway. It all went wrong. There was a massive pileup, millions of pounds worth of damage. I think he avoided a jail sentence. I do. I think I may be slightly wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure he avoided a jail sentence. So that's one scenario. And then you've got Lucy Conley writing a tweet and then deleting it. And she gets 2 years, 7 months. Like, what's going on? But anyway, so when you ratchet down those straps, ladies and gentlemen, when you really ratchet down those straps and tighten the lid on that pressure cooker, and you keep the flame, that pressure cooker can only contain the pressure for so long, ladies and gentlemen. And rather than letting that steam off gently, what's going to happen? You guys know what's going to happen. You're going to have a catastrophic event. And that's what we're heading to right now, ladies and gentlemen. When you tighten those screws, a catastrophic event is inevitable. And, that's true. Linda Lou is saying Ballymena started peacefully, but when the police came in numbers, that's a trigger point for people in Northern Ireland. All right, let me jump down and get these comments. We've done that one. It's not good. Oh, good. You were spot on, Sean. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. Look, guys, when I say these things are coming, it's not because I'm wanting to get the likes and the shares and the views. It's because I'm looking at everything holistically. I'm understanding the problems that we're facing. I live in the United Kingdom, guys. I grew up in Rotherham in the 90s, so you guys can take away from that whatever you want. I know firsthand the problems and the problems, the challenges, the hopes, the aspirations. I understand all of that. I've had a long military career. I've had a career in government, advising governments. I've had a career spanning like every conflict zone in the last 25 years, except from Gaza and the Middle, except from Gaza. So I understand how these things work. I understand that, ultimately people want to make money. That's why bad things happen on a Friday. I understand all these things that are happening. And when I say these things are going to happen, it's not because I'm thinking, oh, that might happen. It's because I'm saying, right, these are the things happening. For example, these pressure pots being tightened up, Keir Starmer sending people to jail for, because when that pressure erupts and gets too much, rather than those people seeing the police, and guys, look, and I'm not condoning anything here. I need to caveat this. I'm just telling you how it happens. So rather than those people then seeing the police and thinking, all right, I best go, those people are thinking, right, the police are there now. They've seen me. I'm going to go to jail for a long time unless I get myself out of this scenario. You see where I'm going there, guys? It's like, it's like when you're, for example, if you're doing, in the military, you do something called fighting in built-up areas, and you get taught how to take buildings, basically. And you'll see where I'm going with this. Now, one of the things you have to do is when you're taking a building is you have to let the people have an escape route. So normally, it's always best practice to go in from the top. If you go in at the top of the building, normally you'll get the people run out the bottom because they don't want to fight. But if you go in at the bottom and you corner those people and you give them no other option, then they will fight, and they will fight to the bitter end because they know what's coming. If you give people an escape, a let-off, an area they can let off steam, then these things don't happen. But the problem is right now, Keir Starmer has no understanding of this, or whoever's behind the scenes actually want this to happen. But anyway, guys, let me get onto these comments. Right, I guess we're on. What time is it? How long have we been on? We've got 31 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Right. I know I don't say this enough. And I should probably say this a lot more. Can you guys like and comment and subscribe? And also, we're on other platforms now, guys. So if you can follow me on YouTube and X, that would be greatly appreciated. And if you're watching later on, if you're watching this recording later on YouTube, then please hit that subscribe button, the bell notification, and all those buttons that help this channel grow, ladies and gentlemen. Because remember, I want as many people to understand hibernate, relocate, evacuate. So please, guys, get a pen because I am going to be talking to this again, and I want as many people as possible just to understand those three trigger points, I guess. Right, let me get these comments. Timsky say, morning, what have I missed? Oh, Timsky, what have you missed? So we talked about Ballymena, we've been talking about what's happening in Northern Ireland. I will be getting an update on that. We've been talking about the reporting of the incident in Austria, where 8 people have been allegedly transcended into a beam of light. We're talking about all that, guys. And again, hibernate, relocate, and evacuate is something that I'm going to come on to a few times today. So, guys, listen, if you've got a pen and a paper, please write this down. Reeves to give speech ahead of spending review. Hang on, where are we? Danny, hang on, there's been a live update. Large police presence as several feared. Yeah, right, there's no real update there. A lot of people badly injured. 8 people have been reported to have transcended into beams of light in Austria. Right. Hang on. My mouse is not working. My mouse is broken. I have a broken mouse. No, it's good. It's working. Right. Danny Boy is saying we need the Anunnaki more than ever to calm it down. Listen, like, listen, I'm genuinely half expecting like aliens to turn up at the end of the year and say, right, can you lot just calm it down or get it over with? Because we're up there in this spaceship and we want you to come and join us and and colonate the cosmos. But yeah, maybe the Anunnaki are on their way. Lulz Whale is saying, hi. Four Paws is saying, keep tapping the screen, guys. Thank you so much. Listen, I don't do that as much. And if you're watching on TikTok, can you please tap the screen? Claire over on YouTube is saying hello. And I'm saying right back to Claire. Hello back to her. Thank you, you guys, for sharing the live. Have you heard about Russia with Ukraine again? Over 300 drones. Yeah, look, guys. So I'm just going to... Now, I can talk long about this, about the situation with drones, drone warfare, what's happening in the situation in Ukraine. A long time ago, probably back in 2020, in fact, when this first started using the Shahed drones, one of the things we were talking about is the next phase of this. So the next, I mean, guys, look, let's be under no illusion. The Ukraine war now, they're having comparable airstrikes now to Britain and Germany in the Second World War. That is the reality. So then what I think is going to happen is they're going to start, well, I know it's happened. They've started to send bigger waves of drones, and they're sending them higher as well. So once they send them higher, and I'm surprised this hasn't happened, sooner, but say that is the range of your ground defenses, so like your 50 cals or your Dushikas, like that's the range of the your effective range. If you fly higher, obviously you're out of range, and then you have to use a really expensive missile system to go and take that down. So then you're spending like, I don't know, you're spending like 500 grand to take down a 50 grand drone. It's not sustainable. It's not financially sustainable. And that's what they're trying to do. The next phase will happen whereby and they're not doing this yet, but the drones will be high. And then rather than the drones coming in for a sweeping attack, what they will do is they will go right above the target and they will just come straight down. And at that point, ladies and gentlemen, I don't see what can be defended against that. I really don't. I don't see any defense against that. Mr. Tyler Evans, Sean, what do you think the next steps are in Iran after they've declined a nuclear talks deal? Well, look, if we understand that the end goal for Iran, and this is my speculation, ladies and gentlemen, this is my analysis, and I've not changed my tune. I've not changed my tune with the wind. I've not gone along with everything else, what everybody else is saying. I'm saying, guys, look, boots on the ground, March 2026. Boots, US US war with Iran, March 2026. It has to be March 2026 because the weather in that area is best in March. Now, we are getting closer to that. We are starting to see this military buildup. We're starting to see a lot of naval assets put in that location. We're starting to see, Diego Garcia take receipt of strategic bombers. By strategic, I mean nuclear. We're also seeing lots of unconfirmed reports of lots of cargo planes landing in RAF Akateria in Cyprus. So if that's the end goal, then all the steps are going to lead up to it. Now, it's got to be March, whether it's March this year or March 2026. I think March 2026 is the earliest that can happen. Nuclear energy drive will mean lower bills, says Starmer. I don't see it, guys. Look, I just don't see it. I don't see bills coming down. I don't see energy bills coming down at all, guys. I really don't. Like the United Kingdom, we get absolutely fleeced upside down and inside out for our energy costs. It's embarrassing. Rachel Reeves now on her feet in Brighton as she delivers a speech. I'm right. I'll come on to that. Chancellor hails free school meals extension. I don't know what that means. Free school meals. I don't know what that means. Claire over on YouTube is saying America attacking Iran is looking inevitable. Death cults definitely shouldn't have nukes. Also, Iran says they have Israel's nuclear secrets in a statement. I don't know what nuclear secrets are, though. I don't know what that means. Rachel Reeves claims reform tough on workers, tough on patients, but soft on Putin. Yeah, I just don't see the next election going how people think it's going. What's happening, Raven? Where should I run to? Daniel Payne, what a fantastic segue into this. Hydrate, you should hydrate. Hibernate, relocate, evacuate. So, right, ladies and gentlemen, let's just look around. Let's just look at Ballymena. Let's look at the scenario in Ballymena. Ballymena has been a flashpoint overnight. There has been rioting. There's been media reporting of rioting. There's been media reporting of buildings being burnt down. There's been media reportings of all sorts of shenanigans, guys. All right. Now, just consider that we don't know, I don't know, you don't know, and certainly, Keir Starmer doesn't know where these flashpoints are going to be. It could be Birmingham, it could be Manchester, it could be Doncaster, it could be a small village in the middle of nowhere. Like, we don't know where these flashpoints are going to be, but what we do know is, if we're looking around the world, the flashpoints are coming. So I want to talk now quickly, guys, and if you've got a pen and paper, just quickly jot this down, all right? Hibernate, relocate, evacuate. Hang on, guys, hang on. Right, sorry. It was just an update on Austria, but it's not. It's just an update telling us what's happened. Hibernate, relocate, evacuate, guys. All right. So hibernate. You never know when these things are going to happen. So imagine, just put yourself in that scenario, ladies and gentlemen. Put yourself in that scenario right now. You come home from school one day, you're waiting for the kids to come home from school one day. You get a phone call. Something's happened. There's been an event. All right. You rush out. You get the kids. What do? You're on the streets there. Hibernate. Hibernate, hibernate, hibernate. Get yourselves back to your house. Unless your house, like statistically, guys, unless your house, your premises has been actually identified and targeted, there's a good percentage that any protests or civil unrest on the street will just pass you by. So hibernate, go upstairs, close your windows, close your doors, close everything, go upstairs and hibernate it out. Now, to that end, you're going to have food, water and fuel in your house to last you however long you decide you need to be there. Now, all these things are going to be different and different scenarios, but like last year in the United Kingdom, in the Hare Hills, region of Leeds, there was mass lawlessness, civil unrest for about a week. Can you imagine? And again, look, guys, this is for everyone. Can you imagine if you're vulnerable and you're in that scenario and you don't have food, water and fuel to hibernate? You're going to be struggling. You're going to literally have to dice. You're literally going to have to dice with the Grim Reaper to go and get like a bottle of water or a can of pop of something. You're going to have to like dodge in. Like there's a scene on, there's a scene on one of the Transformers movies where he has to like jump and run through all the Transformers and stuff. You're literally going to be doing that on the streets, jumping through burning cars and stuff to try and go and get yourself a packet of crisps. All right. And if that's what you're into, that's absolutely fine. So make sure you've got enough stuff to hold down. Hold down. That's a military thing. To hold down in your house. I would go for 3 days. Any more than 3 days, you really do need to start thinking about relocating. So hibernate, relocate, evacuate. At that point, when your food's starting to run out, you need to start thinking, right, I need to start thinking about relocating. Now, your relocation position or fallback position, try and choose someone's house. And this is what I mean. You're going to have to talk about this with your family. You're going to have these discussions. And I get it, ladies and gentlemen. I get it. I get it. People don't want to talk about it. Literally, people don't want to talk about it. My mate who was here like the other day, he's like now openly talking about it. Last year, he wouldn't talk about it. He's like, oh, sure, I'll have to go to work, whatever. But what we're looking around the world, guys, imagine in Los Angeles right now, you are going to have to put in your relocation plan if you're in Los Angeles. And if you haven't got a relocation plan, and these relocation plans have to be done when things are good. So your relocation location, normally, well, it should be somewhere out the way, somewhere in the, if there's if you've got friends or family, your mum, your dad, your gran, your sister, your aunt, your uncle, who maybe live out in the countryside and they've got a big space, they're relatively isolated, they're away from everything. That is a good place to use. And what I would suggest is everybody in your family, in your social group, they say, right, that's the place where, like, for example, in our social group, it's our house. We say, right, everybody goes to that house. If everything goes wrong, we all go to that house. And everybody knows that. Everybody understands that, all right? So they're the two: hibernate, relocate. And then if things continue to get bad, we're talking about like Mad Max scenario with people cruising the street with like leather chaps and like face masks and like baseball bats with barbed wire in, all right, then it may be the time to evacuate. And by evacuate, I mean get out the country. These evacuation plans are put in place as a last line. And normally you would, after relocate, you would go back and to hibernate. But the evacuation plan, for example, in Ukraine, what we said is, right, if Russians come over the border, that is 100%. We hit that evacuation plan and we all get out of there. And that's what we did. It was like, there was like masses of trucks and everything escaping Ukraine in 2022. So that's what I'm talking about, guys. If you can write that down, I'll probably come on to that. I'll probably do that one more time before we close the live. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, hibernate, relocate, evacuate. It's an algorithm that is taught. It's an algorithm that's taught all over the world when people are operating in hostile environments. Hibernate, relocate, evacuate. Look at what's happening in Ireland right now, guys. In fact, I will come on to that in a second. In fact, I'm going to go straight back to Ireland now. I'm going to go off social media now. I'm just going to search on X because X does seem to give you the best. Right, okay. This is how they do it. Oh, hang on, I can't say. Right, so I'm just going to read you some of the comments now off X. Irish patriots protecting their children. Massive disorder in Ballymena, Northern Ireland last night. Houses have been set on fire and damaged following the assaults of young girls over the weekend. The fake news wants you to believe it was two teenage boys, and as we've heard from, again, non-confirmed reports, guys. Locals erupt in Ballymena following the assault of young girls in the small town of Ballymena. Legacy media, guys. Why have nobody, like, this was a crime, wasn't it? Why has nobody come out and mentioned the ethnicity? I don't know. Maybe this is because it's in Northern Ireland, not mainland UK. Hundreds of people turned up on a grey, wet evening. Now, here's the thing, guys. Now, it's very interesting that they put grey, wet evening. So can you imagine the amount of the more people that would have turned up for this if this was at the summer holidays, if this was a sunny day? Can you imagine the extra critical mass that would have been achieved? Remember what we say, guys, if for every 100 people you might get one person that's going to go crackers. That's what we're talking about here. And I'm looking at these pictures now, guys. I'm looking at these videos. I'm saying that these are young lads that are, hang on, guys. Yeah, there's definitely a house on fire here. Wow. There's definitely houses on. Wow, that is wild. Jeez. Angry locals broke the windows of their parents' houses. Wow, okay. Right, guys, this is non-confirmed, guys. This is non-confirmed now. This is non-confirmed. I'm just reading this. Angry locals broke the windows of their parents' houses and set fire to a house after setting a flame to the barricade. So listen, I'm just reading this off social media now, guys. So apparently, and I don't know how much truth's in this. This is from social media. I'm just going to tell you what that said, guys, because that's open source and you guys can read that yourselves. Right, I've just got a couple of comments here on YouTube. The new tea is The new T law is probably to be able to stop people reacting like Ballymena. Now the government can charge you for being angry or attacking these migrants, says Claire. Well, do you know what? I don't think anybody should attack anyone. Like, I genuinely don't, guys. I don't think anyone should attack anyone. I think people should have human rights. But what about the human rights for these girls who are getting assaulted? What about the human rights of these girls who are being attacked? And it does seem like daily. What about those human rights? Surely, if you're willing to do these certain things, then you should expect, a certain amount of things coming back to you. Right, let me jump up and get these comments. Lots of comments on the. So Googly has put hibernate, relocate, evacuate, and then alienate. So I think that means you leave the planet. Yeah, maybe we should put that in. So it's hibernate, relocate, evacuate, alienate. That's where you get the aliens to come in and fleece you and beam you up. Why are they so yeah, okay. Yeah, UK veterans, I'm going to come on to that. Daniel Payne, Raven, where should I run to? I don't know where you should run to. It's all going to be relative to your scenario and wherever you live, I guess. Why this UK veterans is saying, why are they so concerned about reform at this point, far from election? I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Like the earliest there can be an election is 2029. Reform have 5 MPs, and all Labour need to do to destroy reform is stop the votes and leave the ECHR. That's all they need to do. Literally, boom, that's it. You destroy reform overnight. All the Conservatives need to do to destroy reform is put Robert Jenrick in charge. And that's pretty much it. Put Robert Jenrick in charge. So like, honestly, guys, like my thoughts on reform, and again, look, when I talk about reform, I'm talking as someone who was a candidate for reform in the last election. I resigned for reasons I've not gone into publicly, but reasons that you could say Ben Habib, Rupert Lowe coming up against now. So I do understand how those things work. I do understand how they work on I think, guys, honestly, I think reform is, I don't think people should put any hope in reform getting us out of our problems. And we need to deal with our problems ourselves, we need to deal with our problems ourselves and just accept voting isn't going to help anything. All it's doing is it's giving us false hope for another, until 2029 or whenever it is. Right, fleeced is a great word from the UK, says Daniel Payne. Danny Boy is saying pro-Russian diplomat has said Russia and Putin is too weak to carry on war attack or attack another country. See, I don't think it is, Danny Boy. I would say that. You've got to look at motivation here. You've got to look at culture. And people don't understand. And again, like these comments are very complicated, and there's a lot of nuance to them. The war in Ukraine has been raging, ladies and gentlemen, since 2014. It's not been going on since 2022. It's been going on since 2014. Ukrainian culture and Russian culture, especially Eastern Ukrainian culture, it's very similar. It's very similar to, they're very similar people. They're not the same people, and I get that, guys, and I get that, and I am Team Ukraine. What I'm getting at here is you have people with similar cultures having a war with each other. If there was to be a conflict in the wider European sphere, for example, Finland, Poland, the Baltic states, that is 100%. Those cultures are very, very different, and in that context, I would speculate that you would get a different opinion because those people would want to go and raid their way through Europe. So you would get a different, you would get a difference in uptake in that. Right, let me jump up and get these comments. Chancellor promises new era for UK nuclear power. Look, nuclear power, guys, is the future. Nuclear and hydrogen power is the future. And then John Giles over on YouTube is saying the government has lost. If I'll just pin that over on YouTube. John Giles over on YouTube is saying the government has lost control of everything. It does feel like it, doesn't it? It does feel like it. And look, we are going to see how much the government's lost control this summer, ladies and gentlemen, this summer. I'm just jumping down and getting these comments. Linda Lewis saying, I watched Ballymena last night. It was crazy. True, I saw them set that. Yeah, I'm looking at, I can't confirm what the image is, but I'm looking at an image now on X. It's of like a terrace house. It's like an end terrace, I guess. I think it's the end terrace that's on fire. It's got like bay windows that's got like a white bit of trim. There's police cordoning off the streets. That's what I'm seeing now. Now I don't know if that's a recent thing or what, but I'm assuming that is that's the one we're talking about. Jodie Lee, the house belonged to the three men who did the. Oh, right, okay. So Jodie Lee is saying that the house that's being set alight belonged. Now let's just be clear, Jodie Lee. It probably doesn't belong to them, does it? It probably belongs to the Irish taxpayer. Sorry, the Northern Irish taxpayers. But Jodie Lee is saying the house belonged to the three men who did it to the girl. Sharon Owen is saying 50,000. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We managed to get to 50,000. That means we are an international live now. Apparently, we're on FYP. We are on For You page to people all around the world now, ladies and gentlemen. Look, guys, I'm interested in listening to people in America, people in Spain, people in Paris, people all over the world that feel these tensions, that feel this growing tension and this growing pressure on everybody now in the Western world, guys. It does seem like it's everywhere. Chancellor, Google is saying Chancellor defends welfare cuts and says current system is not sustainable. I don't know what are the welfare cuts, guys? What are the welfare cuts? Because to me, it doesn't seem like there are any welfare cuts. To me, it seems like, there's loads of welfare money to get thrown around. Loads of, I don't know if you guys know or not, but a news article came out yesterday. It said that we pay the United Kingdom. Now I heard it on the radio as I was driving, and I didn't register it all. Yesterday I heard a news article say that we pay 2023-2024 taxpayers paid 4.7 billion pound on illegal migration. I actually Googled it and I tried to find the article, and it's not even, guys, it's worse than that. It's 4.7 billion on hotel bills, like a year. And that's going to be more this year because obviously the more people come to this country, the more we get, more humanity, more engineers, scientists, doctors, architects. The more of these, the more these architects we get, we have to put them up in hotels and we have to give them due process. Like, where do we end? Where does it end, guys? Listen, I know where it doesn't end. It doesn't end with a vote for reform. It does not end with a vote for reform. I wish it would, ladies and gentlemen. I wish it would. I wish it could. I wish I saw that I wish I could see that growing out of the weeds. I just don't see it, guys. I don't see it. I see it ending when people stand up and say, you know what? I've had enough. I'm good. I don't want this anymore. And then Google is saying the Cobra Commando unit deployed in Austria. So just for context, guys, the Cobra unit in Austria, it's more of an investigating. In fact, you know what? I think I'm right here. Let me look at this. I think the Cobra unit in Austria is more of a police investigational unit that deals with hostages, hostage rescue, and they're police basically. Hang on, let me Google this. I may be wrong. EKO Cobra, yeah, it's a tactical. Cobra is a police tactical unit of the Austrian Federal Ministry of Interior. Cobra is not part of the federal police, but instead, hang on. Not to be right. So this is not to be confused with Cobra 11 or Commando Battalion for the Resolute Action. So Cobra Task Force is a police tactical unit of the Austrian Federal Ministry of Interior. Cobra is not part of the Austrian Federal Police, but instead directly under the control of the Federal Ministry of Interior. The unit's mission primarily is involve anti-irregular military apprehension of armed and dangerous criminals, counter-terrorism, hostage rescue, crisis management. That's what we're talking about here, guys. Crisis management. Executive protection. They shouldn't really be doing executive protection if they're part of the Ministry of Interior, but whatever. High-risk tactical law enforcement situations, operating in difficult-to-access terrain, protecting high-level. Yeah, so, yeah, there we go, guys. That is Cobra. Cobra, we love the word. I love the word Cobra. It sounds fantastic, doesn't it? I was watching Cobra Kai last night, the season 6. We're at the bit where they've just chose the 6th to go to Spain for that kung fu tournament, and Hawk isn't in on it. I do think Hawk will end up going on it though, because I do like Hawk, and I can't see any more episodes without Hawk in it. He's my favorite character. Googly saying the number of people that have transcended to beams of light in the Austria incident has risen now to 10. And Sharon Owen is saying we've not even got to Friday the 13th. Yes. Did I do a standalone video on that, guys? Did I do a standalone video? I don't know if I did a standalone video on that, guys. I don't know if I did a standalone video on Friday the 13th. Wow, it's like all this information's coming. Yes, Sharon, I need to pin that. Thank you so much. I think I need to do a Friday the 13th video. Right. Guys, look, we talked about Friday. Like some of you guys were asking when the Russian retaliation is gonna hit back. Last week I said, right, well, it's probably going to be a Friday. It actually happened the Friday before, so last Friday it started. But I said, look, I understand Russian culture. I understand the mentality. I understand how they think. And Friday the 13th, guys, I'm pinning it now. If nothing happens on Friday the 13th, this Friday, I'll be very surprised, guys. I don't know if I've done a standalone video on that, but you know what, ladies and gentlemen? All these videos are now being live streamed to YouTube. So, you know, all this stuff I say is now public record. So when I do say something and like you say, when did you say that, Sean? I'm like, literally everything I say now, guys, gets uploaded. All these videos get uploaded straight to YouTube in real time, guys, and I am streaming on YouTube at the same time. Right. But yeah, Sharon Owen, Friday the 13th, people. Friday the 13th is coming. I don't think that we are. I don't think that we're gonna. I don't think that Friday the 13th is gonna go without incident. I really don't, guys. Off to the range tonight, says Timsky. Timsky, do you have access to a range and one of those long things that stuff comes out at the end? I think that's fantastic if you do. I wish we did in the UK. Get rid of paying for hotels and get that 22 billion black hole gone, says Danny Boy. Listen, I think, tell me if I'm wrong, guys. Tell me if I'm wrong, guys. I think rather than spending 4.7 billion a year on hotels for migrants, they should just pay me 1 billion a year and I'll just spend it. Like, wouldn't that be a better use of £1 billion a year? Like, I'm quite confident, ladies and gentlemen, I could spend £1 billion a year. I would go, guys, I would love it. I would love it. I would have a castle. It would be a moated castle. I would have crocodiles with laser beams. I would have guards in shining armor. I would have a runway built into a mountain so I could fly a Diamond DA-62. You know, I would love that stuff, guys. I think I would be an absolutely fantastic billionaire. But when is the government just going to accept that, you know, I think that the United Kingdom need me to be a billionaire so I can go absolutely crazy. Moated castle, crocodiles with laser beams, guards with shining armor, and I'll just run around the house in my cape, giving Batman quotes and stuff. Do you know what, guys? I'll probably even turn myself into Batman. Right, hang on. Is anybody a little bit upset that we don't actually have a Batman yet? With all these billionaires cruising around, are we not upset that we don't have an actual Batman cruising around fighting crime? Anyway, let me get these comments, guys. Let me get these comments. We've done that. Googly saying Russia is helping North Korea to produce drones. Obviously, I can't say that word, Googly. Yeah, I think we will be helping them to produce them for themselves. Lil Sue says, went to see Karate Kid Legends last night. Shocking how expensive this is. What's that, Karate Kid Legends? Is that a new movie that's out? I've not heard of that. Oh, and Timsky's just picked up a new one. Oh, Timsky, I'm so jealous. Timsky, I'm just going to pin that because obviously I don't want to get the live ban, but I am genuinely jealous. Now, what's the capacity there, mate, of the magazines? Like, are you restricted on your magazine capacity? Yeah. 14.2 million in nuclear power. Do the courses get the license? Have to up to 6 and a small one. Oh, right. Do the courses and get the licenses. Have up to 6 and get a small one. Right. Okay. I understand. Crocodiles with laser beams. Right, guys. There's a lot of you laughing in the comments, right? Why wouldn't you want, right? Does anybody not want a moated castle with crocodiles that have laser beams? Like, who is that? Not like the ultimate security? Can you imagine somebody trying to get up to your house and they're looking at your moat and there's Ralph, your prime croc with the laser beam, and he just pokes his head up and he's like, "Rawr." Like, nobody's going to attack you guys if you've got a moated castle and you've got a moated castle with crocodiles and they've got laser beams on them. You know, sustainably sourced laser beams. Danny Boy says, I'm winning the Euro Millions lottery tonight, 208 million, I hope. I think I'd do that in a couple of months, Danny Boy. I think once I've renovated my castle, that would be gone. Googly is saying, where the hell are they getting this money from? Well, Googly, I'll tell you where they're getting this money from. Tax and inflation. That's where it's coming from, guys. Tax and inflation. My speculation, that would be, guys. My speculation. Hang on. I've frozen. No, I've not. I've frozen. Yeah, no, I've not. EG News, did you hear that the bloke running away from Heathrow Airport the other day had been deported? Yeah, so guys, listen, I'm going to come back onto this in a minute, guys. Hibernate, relocate, evacuate. Yesterday, there was a video going on social media of there was a black guy running across Heathrow Airport, and fair play to him, he was going for it. But allegedly, he was the guy that they were trying to deport. Now, what he did is he said he needed to get on he wanted to go to the toilet before the flight had took off. So again, I don't know how much truth's in this. I'm going to have to say that, but, you know, we'll see. And allegedly, that when he went to the toilet, it was a cunning plan because he didn't want to go to the toilet. He just made a break for it. And you see this footage of this, there's like a black guy and he's running, and then there's these other guys running after him. I'm like, is this, I genuinely thought it was filming some sort of movie or something. And Timsky says he's got a nice collection. UK veteran says got lots of farmers near me. I'm reading, understand. Oh, all right, so you're only allowed 3 in a magazine, right? You know what, Timsky? I suppose it's better than nothing. Yeah, new movie, kind of a spin-off from the original Karate Kid movies. Missiles have been thrown at police in Northern Ireland. Right, let me, guys, look, Northern Ireland's had its flashpoint. Northern Ireland's flashpoint's happening. I'm saying that the flashpoint, And I need to be clear about this, guys, all right? I'm standing by what I said. I'm standing by what I said on the 4th of July. Standing about what I said about the 4th of July, but I need to be clear because people think that I'm saying that it's just going to be all out carnage on the 4th of July, and I don't think it is. I think the all out carnage, is going to come at the summer holidays, because you're going to have kids off school, you're going to have grown-ups off school, you're going to have those added layers of complexity, you're going to have those added layers of nuances, whereby you've got the added layers, basically, social, family problems, financial problems, you know, and then we're going to see all this stuff on the news. There's going to be arguments in the family, there's going to be arguments with other families, arguments with people on the streets, and all this stuff all adds into the mix, guys. It really does, and people are just not noticing this. People are just not understanding this. Right, what about under the sea playground? Have they found what? I don't understand that. Oh, right, Cosmic. Yeah, I heard that they found right, Cosmic. I do know what you're talking about, but I've not. Right, I'm gonna have to think about. I'm gonna have to go back onto that, guys. I'm gonna have to go back onto that. Tina Elliott saying good morning, Sean. I'm saying good morning back to you, Tina Elliott. Good morning. UK veteran said, I want a great white shark with a laser beam on his head and a crocodile around my moated castles. You see, the problem with if you want a great white, right, guys, I've thought about this. If you have a castle and you want a great white shark in your moat, you're going to have to heat the water. You're going to have salt water in there. Now, that's going to be admin. It's going to be extra cost. It's going to be extra logistics. If you just go with crocodiles are fine in fresh water. You know, they'll sort themselves out. You can throw a sheep in every now and then. You know, they're going to sort themselves out. With sharks, you know, and sharks, they can only swim one way. So if the bad guys come in and they're behind the shark has to swim all the way around the moat to get back to you. So you see where I'm going with that, guys. I just think crocodiles are a better option for I just think crocodiles with laser beams are a better option for home defense. Now, I hope I don't get the live stream ban for that. Right, good morning, Tina Elliott. Yeah, we've done that. Danny Boy says, taxing the poor and giving it to the rich. It does feel like that, doesn't it? And, you know, the more this comes in and the more they make it difficult for private landlords, the more they make it difficult for private businesses to operate, they are literally taxing. What's going to happen there is you're going to have these big multinational corporations come in, invest a lot of money because they dictate to the government. And then once you've reached a critical mass of international landlords, international companies owning British businesses, then the laws will change to make them more lucrative. That's how it works. If anyone is prepping, go to the Polish supermarkets. So cheap. We love the Polish. I love Poland, guys. I have not got a bad word to say about anybody who's Polish or anybody that is or Poland as a country. Every time I go to Poland, guys, literally every time I go to Poland, I'm always amazed how clean it is. Like, again, I only go to Krakow, Krakow train station, the Krakow airport. Sometimes I have to go to Katowice, and then I will go through on the train, potentially stop off in Rzeszów, and then I stop off in Przemysl. So that's like my experience of Poland. Very clean, very nice people. I wish I spoke the language. I try speaking Ukrainian, but they just don't understand. You know, but yeah, I love Poland. I love everything about Poland, the culture, the people. It's just a fantastic place. Cosmic saying, what about the undersea playground they have found? Yeah, I did hear that somewhere, but you know what, Cosmic? I am going to save that, I think, for this afternoon for two reasons. One, I can't remember exactly what I heard. And two, we need to get through hibernate, relocate, and evacuate. And I keep saying that, ladies and gentlemen. I'm making no apologies for keep saying that, because I know people will be joining now and people will be leaving, and I want as many people as possible to understand what's happening with hibernate, relocate, evacuate. Mill is saying, what's happened in Ireland? Are we talking about Ireland or Northern Ireland? So Mill, just a quick update for you guys if you're joining for the first time, if you've not heard so already. Northern Ireland last night erupted into absolute bonkersness. Absolute bonkersness. Ballymena, in fact, let me read you something, guys. So this is, I'm going to read this now for Mill. I'm going to read this now for Mill, but also for anyone who's not caught up. Now, this is genuinely This is something that somebody sent me personally, so you've got to take this with a pinch of salt. It's non-confirmed. It's open source social media, guys. Now, this is not being reported on any mainstream media news outlets. I have to say that, guys, all right? So it could all be a fabrication. You guys take whatever you want from it. And this is from a lady who claims to be in Ballymena, living really close to the event. Ballymena incident. They were not teens, grown, unvetted men pretending to be underage, being classed as youths on the news. Police moving bus loads to Coleraine, moving them from hotels they are in to put them all in one place. Locals are terrified to let their children outside alone. Ballyclare used to have, okay, I'm not going to repeat that. Everyone was local. Now everything is changing fast within 6 months. Ballymena, Belfast, Dungan and Cookstown, it's getting dangerous. So what happened, and again, so what we know happened last night is protests broke out that turned into riots, and people were protesting against an incident involving migrants and 2 young girls that happened this weekend just gone and the weekend before. Now that's what we're getting off social media. It went from bad to worse. Houses have been set on fire allegedly, and it does look like the people in Northern Ireland have reached that critical mass and they've had a flashpoint now. High energy prices making UK industries uncompetitive, says Rachel Reeves. Yeah, do you reckon? So Mill, yeah, so there was alleged assaults against 2 girls. Now the gentleman, well, the people, I'm not even going to call them gentlemen, the people involved have denied it, so we don't know. Maybe they're telling the truth. Who knows? Should come over, Sean, for a long weekend. Quit if you disagree with Israel-Gaza foreign policy, Foreign Office told staff. Quit. I don't understand this. Quit. Oh, right, okay, right, I am getting that. Right, so Google is saying that apparently Foreign Office staff are told to quit if they disagree with Israel-Gaza foreign policy. And you know what, like, yeah, I'll say that's fair. I'd say if you disagree with anything, guys, if you disagree with anything that's happening in your life, just quit. Like, otherwise you should quit, otherwise you become a shell of yourself. EG News is saying, Mill, all right, it's gone, man. Danny Boy, can I promote the Army Tepping Bowling Tournament for serving vets and immediate family? Yeah, of course you can, Danny Boy. How do we do that? What is it? What is the Army 10-pin bowling tournament? Please tell me more. Trump sending 700 Marine guys. Listen, the situation in America right now is absolutely bonkers. Have they been rioting and protesting now for like? Have they been rioting now for like, has it been like a week in America or just under a week? They've been like absolute flames on the streets in America. Absolutely insane. And if you want to see how bad things can get, look at what's happening, ladies and gentlemen. Look around the world, because these things are not hidden. They're there for everyone to see. You can't hide anything anymore. I keep saying that. April, what have I missed? Right, April Lee. April Lee's turning up and she's saying, what have I missed? We've been talking about so much today, April. But I want the crux of this video to be, it does look like the Summer of Carnage just started. It does look like, although I thought that the Summer of Carnage was going to be a national thing, it looks like it's gone global now. And I want everybody to understand the personal safety tool, shall we call it, of hibernate, relocate, evacuate. I will talk about that again in shortly, guys. I want to keep going through it because I know people will be joining, people will be coming, people will be going. I want to talk about that, guys, okay? Hibernate, relocate, evacuate. And then as Googly was saying, alienate. So you hide in your house, you move to a different house, you leave the country, and then if things are still bad, you get up with the aliens. So yeah, that's where we're going. We're gonna put alienate on the back of that as well. Sharon Owen is saying, I've got Polish friends and they will do anything for you. Yeah, I agree. Is that the old camp? Ah, right, okay, yeah. So there was a base, and again, these things that a lot of these places in Northern Ireland, I've been to, and anybody that's a veteran who served before 2000, I guess, or maybe even afterwards, they've been to a lot of these bases. And when we're talking about these bases, so you've got, what have we got? We've got, let's go from the south. We've got Crossmaglen, Besbrook. We've got Newton Hamilton. We've got Dungannon. We've got all these places. Obviously Belfast. We've loads of them, guys. There used to be big military bases. Now I think that this is where the migrants are going. I don't know, but yeah, there was a big camp in Coleraine. JFK Jr. sacks the. Oh, I'm going to. Is it 4 days in Los Angeles, April? I thought it was longer than that. I'm sure it was longer than that, but whatever. 4 days is still a long time. Imagine, guys, right? So let's just put this in the scenario. This is a good segue, actually. This is a good segue. Right, so they've been rioting now in America for 4 days. Whether you think that's likely or not in the United Kingdom, I personally think it is. But whether you think that's likely or not in the United Kingdom, guys, all right, you've got to understand that they have been rioting now for 4 days in Los Angeles. Remember, when these things happen, we don't know where they're going to happen. Like, nobody could have predicted, or maybe they could, nobody could have predicted that Ballymena was going to be in flames over the weekend. I don't think you could have predicted that. So what we're saying is here, because we don't know where these incidents are going to happen, we don't know where the next attack is going to happen, we don't know where these flashpoints are going to be. So everybody needs to take this on board, guys, all right? Whether you live in a small town, a big city, wherever you live, just take this on board, ladies and gentlemen, okay? So in America now, they've been protesting, rioting, they've been on the streets for 4 days. I thought it was longer, but we'll go with 4 days because that's a good segue. So take down this algorithm, guys, okay? Hibernate, relocate, evacuate, then alienate, all right? So hibernate. If you find that scenario where something happens, there's a flashpoint on your street, on your estate, in your town, in your city, you need to hibernate. Or maybe you want to go out there and do whatever, but I would always recommend you hibernate. You'll have, and avoid the trouble. Saying that, I'll probably be out there on the streets myself with a camera. But hibernate, guys, all right? Hibernate. Go back to your house, close the doors, close the windows, don't be peeking, go upstairs, don't turn the lights on, hibernate. Make sure you've got enough food and water. I would say, and I would always work on 3 days, so you can stay in and fuel as well. Stay in your house for 3 days, guys, all right? Every scenario is going to be different. You may want to have family triggers that say, no, we're going to have 24 hours and then we're going to relocate. It doesn't matter. It's your plan. Make it your own. Talk about it. And of course, if you've got any questions, throw them in. At that point, then, if things are still bad after 3 days, and it doesn't look like it's going to get better anytime soon, like in America, for example, you'd start to think about relocating. So in America, if you was in Los Angeles, you'd start thinking, right, okay, now we need to get out of Los Angeles. How are you going to do that? What's your relocation plan? Do you have a house to go to? Are you going to go in a hotel? Remember, if a lot of people are trying to relocate, forget about hotels, guys. Of course, in the United Kingdom, most of the hotels are full anyway, but it's going to be even worse if people are trying to relocate. People are trying to get out of that town, out of that city, out of that location, because those hotels in the immediate vicinity are going to be full. Try and choose your mums, your dads, your nans, your grands, your uncles, your brothers, your sisters, your cats, or your dog's house. Try and choose a house that's isolated, that's like far away from anywhere, far away from built-up areas, because normally built-up areas will contain most of the carnage, shall we say, most of the collateral. Get yourselves there. Have that as a lockdown place for you and your family. All go there. All have it. Say, right, if things are bad for 3 days, we all go to this house. Let them know you're coming. Please try and tell them. Don't just all turn up at your nan's house and say, yeah, we're here. Hello. Even if you have to put tents up in the garden, guys, don't let the location, like we always say, guys, in the military, the ground dictates your movement. So don't think, oh, they've only got 4 bedrooms, we can't go there or whatever. Right. If that's the house you need to go to, Put tents up in the garden, sleep in your car, sleep downstairs. Let the ground dictate, okay? Let the ground dictate the scenario, okay? Don't choose a house because it's got more bedrooms if it's in a bad location. Choose the best location and then deal with the sleeping arrangements afterwards. If things are still bad, and I mean, like, you know, if they're still bad and getting worse, and it doesn't look like you've got a potential another location you can relocate to, then you may want to start thinking about evacuation. Now, when I used to teach this, and I used to teach the people in Ukraine this, I said, right, the only real scenario where we're going to evacuate is if the Russians come over the border. The Russians came over the border, and it was just, right, there's no question now, we evacuate as quickly as possible. So that means we had to, in Ukraine, we had to destroy all the computers, burn all the documentation, you know, sanitize as much equipment as we could, and then we got over the border as quickly as possible. I didn't actually go over the border. I got to the border and then I went back. Yeah, so that would be evacuate, guys, all right? And we would only realistically do that in the United Kingdom if we have total collapse of the police. There's gangs driving around with, like, you know, in pickup trucks, and they're wearing leather chaps and face masks, and they've got baseball bats with barbed wire wrapped around the edges. That's kind of the Mad Max scenario where you need to be evacuating. But evacuate to where? Where are you going to evacuate to? Again, it may be the case you may just have to stay where you are. We don't know. But if things get even worse than that, ladies and gentlemen, and they're still getting bad, as Google is saying, you may need to alienate. And that means you may need the aliens to come down and take you to another planet. Literally, beam me up, Scotty. I'm off this world. I'm done. I'm not collecting $200. I'm going directly to Mars or wherever they're taking. Anyway, guys, let me jump down and get these comments, guys. Let me jump down and get these comments. I've got an Armed Forces Week. Right, okay, so UK Veterans got an Armed Forces Weekend on my campsite at the end of the month. Live music. How do I promote that, UK Veterans? I don't know, like, I don't know how I would get your website. I'll figure it out. And Danny Boy is saying that there's a tournament that serving and veterans get together, competitive bowl and a laugh once a year. But where is it, Danny Boy? Where is it? How do we get involved? Sharon Owen is saying one arrested in Ballymena. Russia claims it struck military targets in Kiev. Yeah, I said that, didn't I, Googly? I said that they would strike military targets. They would strike targets in Kiev. I did think it was going to be with the Orsnik. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, we have not got to Friday the 13th yet. I think there's going to be incident on Friday the 13th, guys. I really do. Danny Boy is saying next year is on the 6th and 7th of June. Oh, right. So have we missed it? Have we missed that, Danny Boy? Have we just missed that? And don't need to be good or have your own gear. There's a page on Facebook. April, set your video. Set your video. What does that mean, April? Set my video. What? I don't know what that means, April. Oh, something happening in Dallas, New York are preparing. Guys, look, we are literally watching. Hang on. We are literally watching the rebirthing of Western culture in real time. I'm not going to call it the end of the world anymore, guys. I'm not going to call it the downfall of Western society. I'm going to call it the rebirthing. April is saying something happening in Dallas, New York are preparing. Danny Boy, my dad used to meet up with his New York Rockford, I think. That's what you call it. Right, I'll come on to it. Right, I'll come on to that in a second, guys. 10 days food and water, says Timsky. Give new dads 6 weeks off work at nearly full pay, MP say. Who's going to pay for that? 10 days food and water, they say. Oh, so over in Spain, ladies and gentlemen, they're saying make sure you've got 10 days food and water. I would go with 3, guys. You know, I would go with 3. And then you're going to want to relocate. And again, it's all going to depend on your own situation and your own scenario. Like, you know, for example, when I worked in Syria, what was it? one of the NGOs had a massive, like their compound was massive. I can't remember what it was called. I think it was People in Need. I think it was People in Need, PIN, P-I-N. I think it was them. They had like this massive compound out in the middle of nowhere. Like the whole first and second floors were just like barbed wire and like iron bars. There's not a chance you could get into that. So that was our relocation location. From there, we would have evacuated. So we would have hibernated back to our own location. Then at night time, we'd have moved to the relocation location because we was like right in the town. And then we would have evacuated, and that was an absolute faff. Relocating out of Syria, evacuating Syria, guys, was an absolute. It was a trek. April says, only have a garden shed to move to. Well, April, you know, if it's a garden shed and it's in a safe location, it's better than a palace in an unsafe location. Tim's can have a box ready to put papers in, passports and insurance, UK veterans. This is why we have a small holding in the middle of nowhere, Sean. Yeah, look, I'm just going to pin that, actually. I'm just going to pin that. So, like, you can get as much stuff under your bed and as much food and water as, like, humanly possible. But ultimately, it's going to run out. The only way, realistically, is to, like, grow your own food. And, you know, I'll be quite... You know, I've not, like, we tried to grow food this year, but we've just not managed to do this. Right, hang on. Let me jump down. Done that one. Done that one. April says, Sean, I'm coming to yours with my tent. Well, listen, funnily enough, that's like our plan. We just said, right, if everybody needs to get to our house and all the bedrooms are full up, literally just put tents in the garden. What would... Hang on. Right, sorry, guys, the chat's going swizzly. Right, Tina Elliott is saying, what would happen... Right, Tina Elliott is saying, what would happen if we had to evacuate and had no passport? You're not evacuating. Not on your own anyway. At a government level, they would obviously get you out. You can get like when I was working in Baghdad. I lost my passport. I'm not going to tell you how, but I lost my passport. So I had to go to the British Embassy, and they literally printed me one off within like a couple of minutes. It looked a bit dodgy, but you know, they can print you a temporary passport off. So in the worst case scenario, if you needed to leave, I'm pretty sure that the embassy the government can print you off a temporary travel document. Or do you know what, Tina? If you need to evacuate, just get on a rubber dinghy and get to France. Danny Boy is saying, a Romanian friend of mine got a call from family worrying because Ukraine conflict comes close to Romania. We have a house in Ireland, but probably be just as bad there. I don't know, Linda, though. It depends where it is. You know, like the ground is going to dictate everything. If you've got a house and it's in the middle of nowhere, like the two scenarios you can look at, you can think, right, it's isolated, so if somebody attacks me, we're going to be isolated and there's nobody else coming to help. I like to think if you've got a house in the middle of nowhere, it's easily defendable, you're hidden, nobody's going to come close to you, because in these scenarios, ladies and gentlemen, the big towns, the cities, the housing estates, that's where things happen. Like historically, that's where things happen. I don't know of any events where there's been like a mass protest on a country road with nobody there. Like, who are they going to protest against? What are they going to do? It makes no sense. So I would also always say get out into the countryside. Okay, UK veterans, thank you for sending that. Yeah, we've just missed you. Okay, right, we've just missed. April is saying, just sent you some videos. Right, I'll have a look at them once this live stream's done, April. Police have been injured in the incident in Northern Ireland. 15 of them. Okay, right, listen, I used to work with... I'm just going to do a quick Google search for Ballymena. Right, 45 minutes ago. 45 minutes ago. So I'm just going to read this, guys, now from The Guardian. I think, yeah. So this is from The Guardian. Public order breaks out in Northern Ireland town. It should be sure that should be Northern Irish town. Of Ballymena after alleged assault. You guys know what type of assault it is. Hang on. Police in Northern Ireland say a number of missiles had been thrown. By missiles, guys, we just mean rocks, okay? We mean rocks. Being thrown towards officers and damage to properties has been reported. As the picture is of firemen putting out like a fire on a street or something. Public order disorder broke out in Ballymena, Northern Ireland, with police saying a number of missiles had been thrown towards officers after crowds gathered near the site of the alleged assault in the town. The unrest follows a protest in the area about 30 minutes drive from the capital of Belfast on Monday evening. The police statement said adding damage had been reported to a number of properties. Police advised motorists and pedestrians to avoid the Clonavon Road area. They said that they would remain on the scene and monitor the scenario. So what I know, guys, from local media reported people with their faces masks were seen throwing masonry, and a police car had two of its windows smashed. Right, yeah. There's lots of stuff going on there, guys. Lots of stuff going on there in Northern Ireland. Look, I think we're going to see more of this tonight. I don't think we're going to get to Friday the 13th without incident, ladies and gentlemen. I do think Friday the 13th is going to be a key location. It's going to be a key date. Whether that's going to be in Ukraine, whether that's going to be in the United Kingdom, wherever that's going to be, something I would speculate will be a brewing for Friday the 13th, guys. Okay, Friday the 13th. Sharon's got to go to work. Yeah, what time is it? I've got work to do as well. I'm getting emails pile up. Oh, it's almost 12 o'clock. Have you seen what's happening in Austria, Sean? Yeah, Tina Elliott. Guys, listen. So if you guys are just joining and you don't know what's happening in Austria, there was an incident. I have to be careful on TikTok of what I'm saying because I don't want to get video banned. There's been an incident in Austria. Mainstream media are reporting 9 people have now transcended into beams of light. The incident happened at a school in Austria's, a word I can't pronounce, Dreierschutzgengas. And I'm sorry, guys, if I don't mean any offense by that. I just can't pronounce that word. Which is southeast Austria. So 9 people have transcended into beams of light in an incident happening near a school. Guys, listen, we're not living in normal times. Remember that algorithm, guys. Hibernate, relocate, evacuate, and then if you can, alienate. Oh, and Timsky's saying his bug out location is a cave in the mountains. That sounds fantastic. Me too, lots of villagers stripping and assembling. Poor people. EG News is saying poor people. Oh, okay, about the incident in Austria. And then Google it. He's saying Wuhan scientists in the US on the Telegraph News. That seems a little bit suspicious. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to close this down now on TikTok. Remember that, guys. If you forget everything else, hibernate, relocate, evacuate. Okay, lots of crazy stuff happening. I don't think we're going to get to Friday the 13th without incident. I don't. I said this last week. I said Friday the 13th. There's too much stuff happening. There's too much stuff happening in the world. Russia, Ukraine, the Middle East. Now we've got. Too many countries to mention that are up in flames. We've got America. We've got Northern Ireland, potentially Limerick this weekend. And all this sort of stuff is coming to loggerheads, guys. All right. The summer of carnage will be here. Anyway, guys, remember, hibernate, relocate, evacuate. And I'm going now. I think, do I end this live? And then I'll be over on YouTube for a couple of minutes, guys. And we are off the TikToks. We are off the TikToks, and we are just on YouTube. Right, guys, listen, if you're watching on YouTube and you've not done so already, in fact, how can you hold there, guys? I'm literally just going to go get a little drink. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Probably less than 2 minutes. No, I'm not going to get a drink because I'm out of coffee. I'm going to put that there. I'm going to put that there. Right, guys, listen, when I talk about hibernate, relocate, evacuate, just it's one of those things you need to talk through with your friends, you need to talk through with your family, and you need to have a good understanding about it. It makes absolutely no sense. Hang on. Yeah, it makes no sense trying to do one of these hibernate, relocate, evacuate plans when things are actually happening, because when people are stressed, people worry and people panic and people do the wrong thing and people make bad decisions. So try and have a hibernate, relocate, evacuate plan. Try and do it now with your friends and family and just start talking about this, guys, because what we've seen and what we're seeing around the world is you can't predict where these flashpoints are going to happen. You don't know where you don't know where the next attack or the next protest or the next flashpoint is going to break out. You literally don't. I don't know where it's going to be. In America, I'm sure they've been protesting or rioting now for like 5 days or something in America. Now, can you imagine if you're in Los Angeles and you're under those protests and you're under that, the absolute carnage on the streets? Are you going to wish you've got like 3 days food and water in your house? Are you going to wish you had an actual plan, somewhere you could relocate to, rather than being stuck in your apartment building or your house or whatever? You've got no food, the water's been turned off, you've got, the electricity's potentially gone down. You're there. Can you imagine the worry? Because nobody worries. If there's a plan, nobody will worry. People will just stick to the plan. Anyway, guys, that is it. I'm going to close this down now. And if you're on now, you've not done so already, please hit that like, the follow, the subscribe, and the bell notification, guys, because I do really appreciate each and every one of you guys that hit those little buttons. So thank you so much.